That should work. Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. Welcome to the stream today. Hey Corwin, welcome. So today I'm still kind of meh. I was not feeling good on Monday at all. I couldn't even really move much. So I canceled Monday's stream. Yesterday it was a little bit better, but today I'm back down a little bit worse off, I feel like. But I did not really want to cancel stream a second time, so we are going to stream for as long as I can manage it today. So yeah, today we're kind of School of Hard Knocksing this. And so like I said, I'm a little bit tired. My breathing's a little bit weak. And the other thing is I bought a brand new tank of propane and I can't even open it. For whatever reason, the valve is stuck. I can't even crack it. I can't open it. So we're going to be functioning with whatever propane I have left. So fingers crossed I have enough. Because we're really only going to be scrolling the ends of our handles, and then we're going to start working on grinding. So I've got a nice lovely contraption that I've set up for us to grind and keep everything nice and flat and ready to go so that we can sharpen those blades. So like I said, we're going to continue working as long as I can manage it, but we might have a little bit of a short stream today. Forging, I should get a second wind, but once we get over to the grinding, all bets are off on that. Anyway, so we've got an ad coming up, and so I'm going to start the forge and see if I can get it going, and then we're going to get going. Or we're going to get going. Oh, goodness. It was beautiful yesterday and a little bit on Monday, and today is like super duper nasty. Nasty. It's all rainy and thundery. All right, how you doing? Slowly increase that heat. All right. Hey, Dr. Optimal. Hey there. Can't stay long. I have a meeting coming up, but I wanted to see what was going on. Are you okay? I didn't see you Monday, or I could have just missed you. I canceled stream on Monday, and the reason I did that is because I don't know if you guys are, if you're aware, but I have a chronic illness, and unfortunately, sometimes it's just I can't breathe very well some days, and Monday was one of those days. Today's another, but I didn't want to cancel 2 streams in a row, so we'll see what happens. I'm going to forge for as long as I can manage. But like I said, it is like wet and humid, and the air is a little bit thicker, and so it's a little bit harder for me to breathe. All right, so we've got an ad coming up in about 20 seconds. And then once that ad is done, I'm kind of going to go over what the plan is today for scrolling the ends. That's what we left off on Friday, and I really had no idea what I was going to be doing for it. And a lot of you guys had some ideas, and I just decided that I needed a little bit of a break from the project so I could really kind of figure out what I was doing. And I came up with a viable solution, and so that's what we're going to do. So I'll explain that once the ad is over. Yeah, I'm hoping I'm feeling better soon too. I love forging in the spring and fall, but the weather is constantly going up and down in the very beginning of the spring and the very end of fall, and I just cannot, my body does not like it. Most young people are good at scrolling. Yes, very much so. I'm also very good at scrolling. very good at scrolling. So are you guys actually seeing me, or are you guys seeing the Ray Smithy starting soon? Because I've got two different monitors, and one is showing me and the other is showing my starting soon screen. So let me know. We are seeing the me. Awesome. That must mean that my feedback from Twitch itself is a little bit delayed, it looks like. That, or maybe it's frozen, I don't know. We shall see. We do have an ad break going on now, so hopefully this finishes soon, and then I can kind of explain what we're gonna do. Goodness gracious. I don't know about that. Read comments on most websites or Twitter. People can't scroll by, right? I got a glitch the first 2 minutes of the stream where it paused my player. That's weird. It does look like it's paused. Let me see. Okay. If I hit play on my viewer, then apparently it just wants to keep pausing, but that's all right. I guess that's all right. I don't need to see that monitor, I guess. As long as you guys can see me, that's all that matters. Let me refresh that just to see what happens. If that helps. Hopefully. Or maybe it doesn't. Oh, there it goes. It's playing now. Yeah, that pausing happened to me too. That's weird. It is weird. All right. So the ad is done. So what I'm going to explain what I decided that we are going to do for scrolling these ends. So what I want to do is I want to open this. So instead of opening it this way, I'm going to open it this way. So that way we're not losing this lovely curve that we've got going on here. We're just going to twist it out of the way. So I'm planning on holding it like so, hammering it here, and that should bend this out of the way. From there, what we're going to do is we are going to start tapering this tail out, make it a lot thinner, because right now it's too thick for using the scroll tongs that I own. The thickness of this tail is the same thickness as my scroll tongs. So it's not doing a very good job scrolling it. So once it's nice and thin, then we are going to complete that scroll and re-squish it back together so it looks like this again, with the scroll on the end. My other thing is I have to decide whether I want to make this handle shorter, right? So right now I have two handles that are kind of like hand width or length, or, so you can fit all four of your fingers, but I have this on both sides. I could totally shrink this about by, an inch or so, and then it would become the thumb hole. So I have to decide how I want to go about doing that. If I want the wider one and a skinnier one, or if I want them both to be the same size. Once we are done with that, we're going to come over here to this contraption and clamp it on here like so. And then we're going to grind the blades flat so that they fit together. We've got them pretty darn flat, right? But there's still always a little bit of lumps and bumps in here from the hammer blows. And the face of my anvil isn't shiny perfect, so there's always a little bit of variation. So we're going to take that off with the grinder, the angle grinder. Once we get really close to where we want it, we'll switch to the file. So that is the plan, and I hope you guys are ready for it. I hope I'm ready for it. The advantage of both being wide, you could use them two-handed, right? That would be convenient sometimes. Maybe. All right, so we've got some nice hot steel there. so let's start this. And I think I'm going to put that there. It should work. Oh, you know what? I forgot to hit record. I do that a lot. I forget the first heat to hit record on my close-up cam. Alrighty. Let's do this. See how well this goes for me. Oh, that did not work the way I wanted it to, but that's all right. We'll start it over here. All right, so now we've kind of given ourselves a little bit of room. So we're going to start holding it like so, and we are going to taper it exactly like we would taper a fork, like the tines on a fork. So we're going to go, you know, hammer, 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 right? So we've got plenty of space to make this work and not have the rest of the blade interfering. All right. So far, so good. Sometimes I get these plans and they work in my head, right? But then when I try and put them into practice, it doesn't quite work out for me. And in this case, it seems like so far, it seems to be working. Now, I'm going to grab another set of tongs, and they're going to be this set of tongs, and I'm going to stick it over here. That way they'll be really nice and at hand in case I find that these tongs aren't working as well as I need them to, if they're not holding the pieces secure as I need. Okay. Take a second to breathe. Apologies. Like I said, I'm having a little bit of trouble. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I get a second wind as we keep going. If not, this will probably be an incredibly short stream, but you know what? A stream is a stream. Okay. Let's do this. You know what? I'm going to do that. Okay. There it goes. All right, so we're going to securely hold this like so. So far it seems to be working. We're a little bit thinner and a little bit longer than we were before. So hopefully a couple more heats and we'll get this nice and thin. So it'll make a nice scroll. As we go, it might actually start being a little bit more challenging to get this in and out of the forge. But we'll address that when we come to it. So yeah, for the past few days, I've kind of been resting up a bit, and then I've also done a lot of editing. So I'm a little bit ahead of my normal goals for editing this week, and that's actually pretty good in some aspects. And then in other aspects, I'm a little bit concerned because the video that I'm editing currently is the ladle video, and that was the project that we did just before this one. So I really need to finish this one so I can start editing this project. So I don't know. We did do we did do the leaf. Let me see if I can't find it. It was, yeah, it's right here. So I did do this leaf project as like a half a stream project. So I don't know if I get a little bit, if this project takes longer because of my breathing, I guess I'll just edit another, leaf video. It's been a while since we did a leaf video. It's been about a year, I think. And so, maybe it's another checkup instead of like the silverware that we did for our blacksmithing checkup. Maybe it'll be a video editing checkup. So we shall see. I suppose I have a little bit of padding, a little bit of stuff that I can do to kind of give myself a little room to finish this project, but I really only have to get a few more videos and then I will have a bunch of padding, because the last weekend of April is our very first trip for the year. So we are going to the Ozarks, to the Missouri Artist Blacksmith Association. So I guess it's the Blacksmith Artists of Missouri. That's what it is, because the acronym is BAM. So we will be going to the Ozarks and taking a look at some tailgate sales and watching a bunch of demos and doing some interviews. So that's going to be a really fun trip. Like I said, it's our first one of the year. So we are going to the Missouri Blacksmith Association. We are going to the Indiana Conference. And we are going one other place this spring, I think. I can't remember all of them. And then we've got another 3 or 4 trips planned for the fall. So I'm super excited about that. I kind of wish there were a few during the summer too. There's never any blacksmith conferences over the summer. I think it's because nobody wants to blacksmith when it's over 100 degrees outside. So I suppose I can't really blame people too much, but it would be nice to have a few more spread out, because Missouri and Indiana are within a month of each other. So it gets a little bit tight sometimes. Are you coming up to the meeting in Haverhill, Iowa? I sent you the info, but I don't remember the date. So there's something wrong with my Facebook Messenger. For whatever reason, it doesn't save my messages. So if you have that info, or I can try, if you remind me on Discord, I will look it up and I'll find all of the information for that. I do want to make it up to one of the Upper Midwest Blacksmith Association meetings. That would make me very happy, so that I can, expand my territory to all of the, local communities. But yeah, if you remind me, even if you just put, Haverhill, Iowa, and post that in Discord, I'll take a look at it and see what we can do. I'll see if I can manage to get a little bit of time away. All right, I'm going to do another heat. Okay, here we go. I think we're going to do about one more heat tapering. And I think that should make us skinny enough that I should be able to get a good scroll on that. All right, more heat. Of course, I'm not hitting it right. Now am I? There we go. That should make it a little bit easier to get it in and out. But yeah, I am super looking forward to conference season. So one of my favorite things to do is get together with all of the other local blacksmiths. And when I say local, it's kind of like the entirety of the central United States. So because we visit Indiana, Ohio, Missouri, hopefully we will be visiting a little bit of Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, and then we also will be visiting Tennessee. Oh, wait. I wanted to make it up to Urbana as well, so I believe that's in Arkansas. We'll see. Part of it also kind of relies on the butler's vacation schedule. If we can manage to stretch all of their vacation days, it makes it a lot easier to attend some of these conferences, you know? So for Missouri, we've kind of gotten it scheduled a little bit so that the butler only has to take one day off. So it's more like a personal day rather than a vacation. So that's good, because the butler has very limited vacation, and it's going to be a lot easier on me and to get the footage that we need at these conferences. Less for me to worry about. So for this next heat, like I said, we're going to do a little bit more tapering, and then we will have one more heat where we are rounding out this taper. So that I want the scroll to be nice and rounded, just like the rest of the blade, or I guess the handle. And then we will start working on this side. So this is actually the first stream that I've done since daylight savings happened. So I feel like it's probably going to be a little bit light on viewers today because I am streaming about an hour ahead of schedule for those who are across the Europe and in Australia and stuff like that, since I believe the US is one of very few countries that still participates in daylight savings time. I don't know how I feel about daylight savings, to be quite honest. I mean, I would love to not lose the hour of sleep, but I do enjoy being, or they do in Europe too. Oh, okay. So, I mean, some places I know that they do, but I also know that other places they don't. So I feel like it's more hit or miss there. But yeah, I don't know. I just wish that they would decide what they're gonna do. Congress keeps like voting to abolish daylight savings time, and I know I'm getting a tiny bit political there because I mentioned a governmental body, but we keep trying to abolish it and we never do. I just wish they'd make up their mind as to what they're gonna do. And that's all I'll say about politics today. At least I hope. Hello and greetings from Germany. I'm the first time here, and I don't know your workings. Is your current piece for a special one or for a customer? I don't actually do very many commissions. Occasionally I'll do something as a favor to a friend, but I don't charge for my work. And the reason I don't is because I don't have a good way to differentiate the time that I spent talking to you guys versus the time that I actively spend working on the piece, right? I don't think it would be right for me to charge the full amount of time that I'm working on the piece, you know, knowing that I spend half my time talking to you guys. And since I don't actually forge outside of our stream times, it makes it a little bit tricky. So this piece is a pair of scissors, and so you can kind of see where we are right now. This is 1/2 of the scissors. We've got 2 of these. Right now we are making this guy a little bit skinnier so that we can scroll it into like a little cinnamon bun, I guess, on the end. And yeah, so this is kind of a gift for for the butler, who is my partner. And because they're very supportive of my work here with the channel and in blacksmithing in general. So I just want to say thank you, and that's what we're doing. DST was made permanent in the 1970s and was overturned within the year, right? I feel like they keep doing that. Because I swear they did it again last year too, and then they just never decided. All right. I guess I want to go this way. That way I'm not smacking my hand or my face with the hammer. Okay. I think we're doing all right. We're going to round that out for our next heat, and then we're going to do a scroll. Probably going to use my scroll tongs just because it's really tight right now. It's going to be a lot easier to do it that way. So we'll take 2 more heats on this guy at least. Might be 3, depending on how quickly I can get this scrolled. There will never be a right answer. There are several bits that made it out of committee in various states, but they almost never get voted upon. Yes. I kind of feel like, standard time that lines up with the rest of the time zones is the correct time. The correct thing to do, We denoted our time zones specifically for a reason. I always thought that it was really weird that there's a couple of cities, like individual cities, that are on a different time zone in the mountain time zone. Because I can't remember if, Arizona itself does not participate or if the cities don't participate in daylight savings time. But it's kind of weird. Be weird, going from one town to the next and, not being in the same time. But yeah, forging is a great thing. Unfortunately, you see more and more of this swinging a hammer. I think the traditional aspect is lost this way. I mean, I have done a few, I have a press, right? So I don't always hammer, hand hammer everything that I do, but a lot of times I do. I think that the larger the piece of steel, the more inclined I am to use machinery. But I know for a fact that if an old school blacksmith had access to a power hammer or a press, they'd use it in a heartbeat. So I don't really feel bad when I'm using the large pieces of equipment like the press. Just, they didn't have the technology at the time, but it doesn't mean that they wouldn't have And I mean, places that were near, blacksmith shops that were near streams and rivers would use power hammers that were powered by the river and the water. So, you know, it's not traditional to use equipment. All right, let's round this tail out. And then from there, I'm gonna switch camera modes. I'll probably, or angles, probably switch a few less times today just because I'm not gonna remember. I feel like I'm a little bit, you know, under the weather today. All right, so we're getting rid of the corners because we're really wanting to round this guy out. All right. Tongs in the face. Tongs in the face. All right. It's a lot thinner than it was. If you take a look and compare the two, you know, we got a lot longer and thinner on that side. So that's pretty good. Next heat, we're going to scroll that. Or at least we're going to start scrolling it. If I can get this piece in there. There we go. Okay. Stay. I'll put that there for now. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab out my set of scroll tongs. I think I'm going to use these guys. These guys are really easy to use. So far, so good, right? Hopefully, fingers crossed, it all works the way I think it will. Because, you know, some days I'm just, you know, I am just a little bit, my plans are a little less physically possible than I think they are. All right, so we're going to move the camera angle a little bit so we can get that scroll in there. Okay. Whoa. Hey, Blue Red Metal. Welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. So we've got an ad starting in about 2 minutes, or I guess a minute and a half at this point. So once that ad is over, we will start this scroll. Fingers crossed I can make it work for us. 7 stream streak. Oh my goodness, that is so amazing. Thank you so much for that, for supporting me. 7 straight streams. That is crazy. I always find it incredible that you guys care that much that you want to be there and watch subsequent streams, you know. I totally get it, you know, here and there, but the whole every stream in a row, that's incredible. Thank you guys so much for that. All right, so I think I can put this on the anvil for the moment. And we're about good on the heat. So once the ad starts and it goes all the way through, we will try and do the scroll. It should be interesting. I don't normally do scrolls just with the scrolling tongs. I usually start them on the face of the anvil. But in this case, I don't think that I'm able to do that because of the angle at which my little tail is. So I think we're going to have to do a scroll with the tongs. It is always interesting here. Feels like a nice place to visit. Well, I'm glad you feel that way. I try to make it as entertaining and educational as I possibly can. It is one of my main goals with this channel. You know, I want to learn stuff and I want you guys to learn stuff. I think I'll be okay through the scrolls, right? I think that my main issue today is the thing that's going to wear me out and make me not want to continue streaming or not be able to continue streaming is the part where we get to grinding. I think that's going to be my main issue. The reason for that is because it actually takes a lot more effort than you would think to, you know, hold up the angle grinder and continue to use it effectively. We are in the middle of a day, long rain and thunderstorm system. Yes, we have so much rain and thunder and lightning right now out. I think that that's partially why I just don't quite feel like I'm getting enough oxygen in my breathing. I think the air is a little bit humid and so it's really thick. And, you know, it's interfering with my ability to inhale all of the air, I guess. I don't know. That's the best way I can really describe it. I feel like when I inhale, I just can't get quite to the bottom of my lungs, or I guess fill them all the way. It's kind of weird. All right, we are back. Let's see what we can do with this. All right. I'm going to put you or myself right there, and we're going to try this. Okay. I want to scroll this direction, I think. Yeah, I think I like that. There's got to be a good way that I can, like, modify that a little bit. Continue making it round. I think I'm going to heat it up again, and we're going to try another attempt at it. We're going to use the scroll tongs to kind of twist it just a hair more, but it's a good start. Hammer time. I'm actually impressed with the amount of scroll I was able to get in that first heat. We're a little bit on the cold side as far as the forge. Like I said, I'm trying to kind of conserve my propane tank for the moment because it's all I got right now. I have no idea why the valve on my propane tank locked up. It's like I had it cracked at one point, and for whatever reason, I tried to switch my forges, and I don't know if there's like a vacuum in the valve or what, but I got the butler out here trying to open this tank for me, and even the butler couldn't get it open. The butler is my big muscles, and you know, even they couldn't get it open. So I don't know. I'm debating if I should just take it back to the place that I did the switcheroo and see if I can't have them switch it again for me. Yeah, we were using a pipe wrench. I don't know what happened. That was the first thing that the butler did was get a wrench, and we tried to use the wrench to open it, and yeah. Super, super tight. I have no idea how it got that tight, but it sure is. Yeah, if it won't budge, take it back. I'm gonna try it. We'll see what I can do. Otherwise, I guess I'll just pay my 25 or my $22 or whatever it is and exchange it again, because it's like, it's useless propane if I can't open it. All right, let's do another heat. I want to open it just a hair, because what I want to do is I kind of want this little tail right there to kind of scroll up a little bit further. I'm not sure if I can do that though. I might try using the hammer. Let me grab some heat and we'll see. Make sure they know how bad it is, or the valve is, so they don't pay, or so we don't pay for it. Yeah, otherwise the clerk will just put it back in the rack. Well, they can't really put it back in the rack because I already took the little blue thingy off, right? Let me grab one. Let me show you guys. So my exchange puts these guys, it's like a little, I don't know, a little pull tab thing. And this indicates a new tank. So once this goes off, then it's an exchange, and the, I guess, Blue Rhino has to refill it or whatever. And they maintain the tanks. But it's like, this is the exact reason why I do the switches as opposed to refills. Because if this happened and it was my personal tank, I would, you know, I'd be out of tank, right? At least this time I can just exchange it and they got to deal with it. Alrighty. Let's do one last heat on this. Hopefully we can get it to work the way, or to look the way I want it to. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't think it looks terrible. I just think it could look better, if that makes any sense. Oops. You know what? I've kind of made it look a little bit awkward. So I think I will do one more heat. Just because there's a weird slot there and I want to see if I can't fix that. We're getting there though. Alrighty. Dropping things. I think I'm going to put this guy in there too, just to get it started going. But yeah, it's where we are today, I guess. Oh, goodness. I don't know. So yeah, it's been quite the weekend, and I guess the beginning of the week. Like I said, I really have been kind of useless most of the week so far. This all started because I went to the zoo and the science center with my nephew. My nephew is like just 1 year old, and we my sister-in-law and her husband have to, they are remodeling their house. And so they asked us to watch my nephew for a couple of hours. And those couple of hours turned into like 4.5, 5. And so yeah, we started at the Science Center. And the Science Center is it's a pretty long walk. We went to St. Louis, so it's the St. Louis Science Center. I don't live that close to it, but we went there. Anyway, so the Science Center actually has a sky bridge that goes over the highway. So the highway is it's 55, and it's a 4-lane highway, and they have 2 full buildings of science exhibits, and it's really, really cool. They've got animatronic dinosaurs, and they've got a video game display, and they've got a planetarium. It's really amazing. They've got an IMAX theater. Cool. Really cool. And my nephew loved all of the flashing lights and the pretty colors of everything. And so when we got done there, the butler called up their sister, and they were not ready to take him back, our nephew. And so the Science Center is in Forest Park, which is St. Louis's version of Central Park. And so we went to the zoo because it's in that same area. And the zoo is pretty darn big. And the walking between the Science Center and the zoo, it was a little bit much for me. I had a blast, and so did my nephew. My nephew absolutely loves the monkeys. So they have like this indoor monkey display, and all the monkeys are like swinging from these branches and stuff. It's always really fun. But yeah, it's fun, but it's also exhausting. Let's do another heat. If I can't roll this one more time. I don't think it's gonna work. I'm gonna try it this way though. Aha. That's a little better. We're losing the extra bit of twist that I put in this. So I think we're going to heat it up one more time, and then we're going to position it and probably leave it at that. So I would pull out the other blade, but I think I need a tiny bit of a breathing break. So I'm going to wait until after I'm done with the first blade to start the second. Sounds like fun for the little guy. It was fun. It was super fun. My nephew really enjoyed. They have a video game display at the Science Center, and so it's kind of funny because they have a display of like an Atari 64 or an Atari and then a Nintendo 64 and a PlayStation 2. And so it's really fun to see all of the little kids trying to play the vintage video games like Crash Bandicoot and Pong and stuff. It makes me feel super old because I look at the plates on the information plates, and they're like vintage games, and I'm like, really? I played those when I was a kid. Am I vintage? He was super fascinated with Sonic the Hedgehog. I guess must have been like a Sega Genesis or something like that. And so, you had Sonic in the little ball gathering up the rings. And he was super fascinated by that because all of the primary colors. And then, like I said, he loves the monkey house. So we always go to the monkey house and we get to see the ring-tailed lemurs. And it's like Zaboomafoo, or like, I guess these days the kids call it King Julian from, what is that? Zootopia? No, it's not. Is it Zootopia? I think so. But when I was a kid, it was Zaboomafoo. All the generations and stuff. All right, let's see what we can do with this. One last time with this scroll. That's not too bad. Might want to bring it back a little bit. Like, or maybe not like so. Maybe I will use another heat and then continue the scroll up there, maybe. I'll see what I can do. Alright. So I think I'm going to go with the next one. We're going to start uncurling it or whatever. Let's see. If I put this over here like so, I think I should be able to go like so. And that should work pretty well. Okay. Yeah, I remember back in the day seeing some tables in bars that had Pong game for tabletop. Advanced technology. Yeah, they totally, I mean, they were relatively old when I was like really, or when I was in, I guess, grade school, but we had this roller skating rink that we would go at least once a year, and sometimes more if people had their birthdays there. But it was like, you know, skate ranch or whatever. And so they had, you know, the roller skating where you went around in the circle. And then when you were super tired, they also had an arcade, right? And one of the games that they had was this tabletop multicade. And it had like Pong and Snake and a couple other games. Maybe it was like, it would have been not asteroids. It would be Space Invaders, and it was a multicade on like, you know, the cocktail table. And you could like, you know, play while you had your drink on the table, and I thought that was the coolest thing. I love arcades. I won't. You know, I probably haven't told you guys, but I actually own a couple of arcade machines. I have one of the original Mortal Kombat 2 cabinets. May 16th for Haverhill. Okay. May 16th. That is like super duper close to BAM. Let me see. What do I got calendar wise? March. Oh my goodness, today is my mom's birthday. You guys reminded me by making me look at my calendar. Okay. So April 29th through May 3rd is BAM. And so May 16 is that next, or is 2 weeks from then. I don't know if I can manage quite that quickly. I will try, but like I said, I don't know if I'll make it. One of the wrestlers I work with would be jealous of your MK2 cabinet. I also have one of those one-up cabinets. They had them at like Best Buys and Walmarts over Christmas several years ago. We bought them when they were on sale for like, $200 for the cabinet, like that first year that they had them. And it is, what is on the side? Is it, I think it's asteroids on the side, but it's a multicade. And so it's got like Pac-Man and Mrs. Pac-Man and asteroids and Snake, Dig Dug. And yeah, I really got into arcades for quite a while. I got to the point where I was trying to make our Mortal Kombat 2 board work, but I could never quite make it work. So we decided that we were going to make it into a multicade with a emulator ROM. And we just haven't finished that yet. Super exciting though. I think that's super interesting. My favorite arcade game is actually X-Men Children of the Atom. That one is a really hard one to find these days, though, because arcades have this whole thing, and it's called a dead man battery. And when the battery dies, so does the arcade machine. All right, let's see if I can't move that way a little bit. I don't think I can, but maybe I can. All right, that's a little better. And maybe not a little better. I don't know. That's a little bit on the wide side. I think I'm going to rejigger that a little bit as we go. But you know what? We'll get it to work. Yeah. We'll get it to work. I just need to scroll that up one more time, I think. So let's put this back in the forge. And then let's start working on the other side. I think that should work all right. If I can get it out, that is. There we go. Hey. Hey, hey, hey. Haha. Fighting. Let's move this over here. Well, that did not work very well. Not at all, guys. All right. Let's put this back in the forge. We'll heat it up again. I didn't get much progress done, but that's all right. I don't mind too much. Ah. Not quite working the way I want it to, but that's all right. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to heat that up, and we're going to scroll it a little bit further. And I promise I am not trying to, like, delay this so I don't actually have to do much grinding. As much as I feel like maybe I am. All right, let's turn this up just a hair. I think we're doing all right. We don't have any freeze ups yet. Hopefully we'll have this done relatively quickly because I really want to start doing some of this grinding. It's going to be a little bit challenging, but today was, or not today, but Monday, I was supposed to start grinding in spades and just be, you know, this was supposed to be day 2 of cleaning up these scissors in my original plans. So, you know, it's like one of those things, you know, the best laid plans, you know? All right. How am I going to go about doing this? I have an idea. Maybe that'll work. I hope. Let's try it. But first, I'm going to move the camera just to get another angle. I've been working on this for quite a while on this angle, and I need to move the camera anyway. So we're going to come over here and try not to get hooked on the leg of the other tripod. Okay. That should work out for us. Let's try this now. Hey, Lexi. Welcome to the stream. Welcome. We are working on scrolling one side and drawing it down the other on these scissors. Let's see if I can make it happen for me. I don't know. That's a little bit better. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm trying. I'm working on it. They're a little bit better looking. I think I can make it work. So we're going to heat this up, just reshape it real quick, and then we'll be done with this one, ready to grind it. And we're going to work on the other side now a little bit. Starting to get a tiny bit of a second wind here going here. So I think I'm doing all right. All right, a couple more heats and that'll be nice and skinny so that I can start the scroll. You come on at 4 a.m. my time now. That's too early. It's definitely too early. I do not blame you for waiting until like 5 or 6 to, you know, come watch. I would totally just keep my schedule consistent and not worry about daylight savings time, if not for the fact that my brain would totally not function that way. 6 months out, or 6 months out of the year, it would be a 2:30 stream my time, and then 6 months out of the year it'd be 1:30. I think that would be really confusing for my poor brain. I am super glad that you joined us as you could, though, Lexi. Whew. Did someone say scrolling? Yeah, I am poorly scrolling right now. I'm in the middle of an ad, and so once that ad gets done, I will start working again. Yeah, I am attempting to scroll very poorly. We'll see how well I can do on the other side. Do I have any thinner scrolling tongs? I mean, this one isn't. This one's a little bit thicker. I don't know. I think they're the same size. You had me at scrolls. Had me at hello. Damn commercials. I know. I know. Unfortunately, even if I didn't have commercials, I've noticed that Twitch has started putting commercials in, even on streams that don't actually put or deliberately put commercials on. So like video game showcase streams, I keep seeing commercials on those streams. And I know for a fact that Bethesda used to not have commercials. So I don't know. I think that it's just something Twitch is doing. They're just putting commercials in everybody's streams now. Alrighty, let's see what we can do. Now that the commercials, the darn commercials, they be over. Alright. So we've got ourselves a nice little scroll there. And it'd be nice if I could scroll it like a little bit further. But it's being a little bit finicky. So I think that's where we're gonna be for the moment. It's still within line of the line that we created, so I think it'll be all right. So that's one side of the handles. So I'm going to put this over on the swage block and allow it to cool off. This is going to be the first one we start grinding. Alrighty, so let's do some more tapering. We are going to be tapering this other side so we can start scrolling it here shortly. Another heat or two and we should be good to go on that. Thinning that out so we can get a nice scroll. At least it's not a doom scroll. Yes. They see me scrolling, they hating, trying to catch me scrolling dirty. I mean, you know. I feel like everything in this shop is pretty dirty. So I don't think it'd be too hard to catch me scrolling dirty. So, I've been having a lot of issues with moisture and humidity here in the shop recently. And it's just everything gets covered in the sheen of dew, like little water droplets. And so I have to kind of dry everything off and try and kind of take care of it so it doesn't get a layer of surface rust on it. And yes. Modified lyrics from a song, Rollin' Dirty, yes. But yeah, today I came into the shop and there was a worm on the floor. I'm like, where did this worm come from? Twitch is running ads on the live stream videos playing at the top of Twitch's homepage. Yes. No, I know that song. I do know that song. I'm aware. But yeah, I remember. I do. And not just from the commercials either. I heard that song on the radio. Although I won't lie, it's probably because my local radio station, when I was in high school, like the local one, where I grew up, they actually used to play songs that were like 10 years old routinely on that station for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't know why. All right, let's do a little bit more drawing down. See if we can't do the thing. Hopefully my elbow isn't in the way. I'm doing some weird acrobatics almost in order to make this work for me. But yeah, I was like, where is this worm coming from? All right. I think we're going to spend one more heat on this taper, and then we're going to try and round it out and then scroll it. Probably. Maybe. I don't know. Every time I say one more heat, I'm always mistaken. So we're going to do another heat. Have you figured out the geometry for the relative position of the blades for when you assemble the scissors? So when I started working on the blades, what I did was I drew a 45-degree angle on my anvil face, and I put a set down at the 45-degree angle. So there's a set down, just like I would make a pair of tongs. So if I do this, and you can kind of see there's that 45-degree line right there, and then it's there on that other side too. So I put a 45-degree set down on both sides of the scissor blades. The inside is the straight, and the outside is the curve. So it's backwards of a butter knife. So that I kind of emulated a butter knife for the shape of the blades, but like I said, the interior is the straight, which would be the spine of a of a butter knife, but it is the interior cut line, because if I did the curve, then they wouldn't cut properly. So I paid close attention. I even brought out a pair of manufactured scissors. So they also have this lovely set down in the plastic that kind of makes it so that you can kind of, use them. So I believe that I'm probably going to have to make the angle sharper than 45 degrees, right? Because I've been holding them together and it's not quite closing. So I think that I need to grind the set down a little bit further back, a little bit sharper of an angle. But we'll do that when we get there. Chop cuts, yes. That's another thing that eventually we're going to do. We're going to kind of curve in the blades so that you know, they have that little bit of extra friction when you close them. So I watched a whole bunch of videos, or at least 2 videos, on other smiths making scissors, and they both put curves on the interior of the blades so that you kind of get more of a clean, sharp cut. So we'll get there. But first, I want to kind of, once I get these scrolls done, we're going to go and we're going to start grinding them. I have a little bit of a contraption made over here, and we're going to grind the interior of the blades. That's where we're going to focus, is on the interior. I'm not going to worry about the exterior or the blade, like I'm not going to sharpen them just yet. I'm going to focus on the interior because I want to make sure that they'll sit together the way they need to, and then I will worry about the rest of it. All right. Don't need these quite yet. I'm going to stick them in there for now. And we're going to do another heat. I'm hoping that I get enough that I've thinned this out enough that we should be able to get a nice scroll in here. All right. I think we've made it. I think. So I think the next heat, what we're going to do is we are going to round out this tail so that it continues the round shape that I have on the rest of the handle. And then we're going to put the scroll in. All right. So I was talking to the butler about these scissors, and the butler was asking me how I intend to put the scissors together. And the butler thinks that I should not use a rivet. And they say that a lot of really, really fancy scissors have a clamping screw setup. So one side is just a regular screw, and the other side is like a smooth case that has threads on the interior for the regular screw to go inside, right? So that way you can tighten it or as it ages, and you can take them apart and sharpen them if they need sharpened. But I don't know that I've ever actually seen any set screws like that. So I'm going to have to take a look and see if I can't order one. For once we get everything taken care of and we're ready to start fitting things, I'm just going to use a regular nut and bolt. But I'm kind of trying to figure out what I want to do to keep these 2 blades together. It's nice living somewhere that time doesn't change. It was weird in Arizona, though, because basically swapped time zones twice a year, right? I was just talking about that earlier today. I was like, it's weird in Arizona because some places participate in daylight savings and some people don't, or some areas don't. Something happened with the mic. I don't know. Let's see. You know what? It fell off. Let's put it down here. Is that better? Can you guys hear me again? It looks like it fell off my lapel. I don't know why it fell off. But yeah, I clipped it to my sweatshirt and it must have, like, I don't know, fell off because, you know, it was between my sweatshirt and my apron. So thank you for letting me know. So I wasn't talking about anything too important. Or at least I hope I wasn't. Alright. But yeah, if anything happens, like, you know, where my mic starts acting funny, do let me know. Thank you. Hey, Ping, welcome to the stream. All right, so we are going to do another heat. This heat is going to be us not scrolling. We're going to be rounding out the tail so that we can start scrolling it. Rounding it out. We got lots of corners on this thing, and I want to take them off. All right. That's pretty round. All right. So we're going to heat this guy back up and we're going to start scrolling it. Looks like I cracked it a little bit. I think it'll be all right though. Okie doke. Take a minor breather. I would get confused living near the boundary of a time zone and having to commute back and forth. It would be worse if one of the places did not use daylight savings. I would probably meet myself in my travels. See, I think so too. It is bad enough just living in the middle of a time zone with daylight savings. Out of water. Goodness gracious. I'm gonna go grab some Gatorade and I'll be right back. It is Gatorade o'clock. All right, here's some Gatorade. Good to go on that. Okay, so we'll put that there, and then I am going to take these guys out of my square tubing. I have this lovely piece of square tubing, guys. And I know this is kind of weird, right? It's just a piece of square tubing that's welded onto a piece of angle iron. This thing is amazing. So this is actually kind of, I use this so that I can put steaks that I do not have Hardee's for on it, or in it, right? So it sits in my post vise like so, and then if I have a Hardee, or I guess if I have a steak, like one of the raising steaks, or like I have a sinusoidal steak, and it does not have a Hardee on it, I stick it inside of here, and it holds it pretty darn well. Sometimes I have to put a couple of wedges in it on some of my smaller steaks, but in this case, what we're actually going to do is we are going to take our, I'm going to, use this as an example. We're going to take our scissors and we're going to stick them on top of the piece of square tubing, and then we are going to use another piece of angle iron and we're going to clamp them onto that tube. And that's how we're going to hold it horizontal so that we can grind it. So it's a weird little contraption. It's kind of not really a jig, but kind of a jig. All right, I'm gonna move this camera a little bit because we've been working for a bit. And I'm gonna move it right in front of the anvil. Make it low and stuff so it can see what we're doing. And then we're gonna start scrolling it. At least I think we're gonna start scrolling it. All right, cool. That should work pretty well. All right. I'm gonna put us right there. All right, so I know that I told you guys that I'm having a little bit of trouble breathing, and I think you guys can probably hear me. It is starting to now affect me, so we're gonna do our very best to see how far we can get. Okay. Let me heat this up again. So we might not actually get too much of the grinding in today. Like I said, I'm starting to heavy breathe. Unfortunately, grinding is one of those things that really takes it out of me, so I need to be like really ready to do it. So if it comes to it, I will probably end the stream a little bit early, and we'll start grinding on Friday. On Monday, I canceled stream because I couldn't breathe very well, and I was feeling a little bit better on Tuesday, and then the weather did like a somersault, and now it's all rainy and cold and stormy, and I just, breathing has decided it's going to be challenging. I live in New England. If you look at or on a globe, we're out in the ocean. I get 1 hour less light than the rest of the East Coast. Ooh, are you on the little like peninsula with like the little islands and stuff? Less yak yak, more scroll. Exactly, Lexi. I'm talking too much. I gotta get this done, All right. We do have enough heat. I should be able to do another scroll. Another start to the scroll. Hopefully it's not too bad putting the inset on the anvil step. All right, let's see. All right. Manipulating this is always fun. Will it work this way? No. Let's see about doing this for a moment. So far, that's where we are. Not too bad. I think we're actually doing a little bit better than the last one that we did. So I'm going to do a couple more heats, trying to scroll this up a little bit tighter and then we'll see where we are. Blech. That is good. It's best to take your own time so it does not seem like a chore. I do the same with paper models. If it becomes a chore to figure out how the parts go together, I take a break. Yeah, that's kind of what I did for this project on Friday. I took a break because I didn't know what the next step was going to be. And I really you guys wanted to see a scroll on these scissors. And so I really wanted to get that for you. And so I had to come up with a good way of doing it. And I think this way actually works pretty well. For the stage, for not wanting to ruin what I had already had done. Now, the best way to go about this would actually have been to do all of the tapering all at the same time, so I didn't have to go back and kind of unbend it and, you know, this whole thing. It would have been a lot easier just to taper it all the way to a point in the very beginning. But, you know, live and learn. We're not on an island just stuck up in the northeast with Canada and the ocean and the rest of the U.S. states. Oh, okay, so you're kind of along with, like, Maine and stuff. Yeah, on that little, like, My geography is not the best, to be quite honest. But yeah. We do get, like, we were getting sundown around 4:30, 4:45, and now the dusk is now around 6-ish. So we're still getting longer days, but, you know, daylight savings time also helps a lot. All right. As much as I want to do the next stage after, I do think that once I get this scroll done, I'm probably going to end up having to end the stream for the day. So we will be doing a couple more heats. Probably like 3 or 4 more heats, but that's probably about all we're going to do. We do have an ad in about 2 minutes. So once that's over, I will do our next scroll. Just going to give it a little bit more time to heat and me a little bit more time to breathe. But yeah, so I wish, like, that the weather wasn't being so flippy, because it was like 70, 75 degrees on like Sunday. And then it was like super, super nice on Monday. And then Tuesday into today, it just decided that it was going to cool down and start storming. So on Friday night, it was super, super stormy as well. We actually had to switch all of the vehicles around in the carport because the butler has a work car, and then we have the van, and we have my truck. And so we have 3 vehicles, and the carport only has space for 2. And on Friday night, they were predicting hail. So we actually had to put the truck and the work car under the carport, and then the van unfortunately got rained on. We were lucky though because there was no hail. The hail that they were predicting never came. So yay! No hail damage on the van. Yes, nice. I'm super excited because the worst thing would have been getting hail and like having it break the windshield. I've had so many problems with windshields, and I think since we've lived at this house, we've replaced 2 front windshields and we replaced 2 back windshields when I lived at my previous place. It's never pleasant replacing windshields. So I'm super glad that we didn't have to. Nasty stuff. I saw some hail reports around Chicago yesterday. 4+ inches, like baseballs. Ooh, that is gross. I did see a few hailstones that were they were like this big on my Facebook feed up north. It's crazy. I am Northwest Louisiana. This time of year is a steady stream of severe thunderstorms. We get remnants of hurricanes and tropical storms during hurricane seasons also. Ooh, that's not fun either. Man, ugh. All right, we're gonna do another part of the scroll. Yeah, hail's never fun. I really hate storms. Up here, we tend to get more in the way of hail than tornadoes, though, which is always good. Because when I was growing up, we always had to worry about tornadoes. Okay, so that's all right. Let's grab the other side and we'll kind of compare the two. So that one's a lot tighter than that one. But I think we can manage. I think I'm actually happier with this side than that side. So what I'm going to do is we are going to put this back in the forge and maybe unscroll that just a hair. Sunrise and sunset at right around 6:30 mark every day is pretty sweet. Living near the equator does have advantages. I mean, I can imagine. I grew up about 4.5 hours north of where I currently live, and even that, being that much closer to the equator, makes it a lot more tepid as far as weather conditions. Like I said, we do get a lot of storms, but we always have at least one day where it's 60 degrees, even in the dead of winter. And it's crazy. It's crazy. All right. Actually pretty happy with this side. With the scroll on that, that's not bad. I think it looks pretty nice. And it's also not interfering with the pivot point, which you can kind of see right there. So that's super exciting. I'm super happy about that. We are having a little bit of a weirdness where, the flat edge right there is, the handle is a little bit this way or twisted. So we'll have to fix that. We'll have to fix that in a few. But I don't think it's too bad right now. I do want to look down this, and I noticed that this is a little bit curved inward. In the end, we want that, but not in the beginning. We want to make sure that things are like super duper flat. So maybe I'll put this in here so that I can flatten out that last little bit there. Okay. Okay. So I want to unscroll this just a hair. Ooh, now it's kind of a little bit weird. But I think it'll be all right. We're going to do a little bit more to play with this, I think. Yeah, we're going to scroll this a little bit, or we're going to kind of try and match the other side a little bit. So I'm going to heat this up so I don't crack it. That is kind of an interesting shape. It seems like it's got corners on it. It's looking a little bit like a cutlass for a hobbit. Yes, you're right, it is. It is starting to look like a cutlass for a hobbit. It's kind of supposed to look like that a little bit, you know, because sorry, like I said, my breathing is starting to really be raspy. We won't have too many more heats and I will probably end up rating off. We'll probably go to about the 2-hour mark. Apologies for the short stream. But if you were to break the scissors apart, you would almost get a cutlass for a hobbit. You know, you've got that nice that loop there. Hey, Drunken Dwarf Iron, welcome to the stream. We're probably about to end the stream pretty quickly. I'm having a little bit of trouble breathing. But I'm glad that you've joined us. Welcome, welcome. We are currently working on a pair of scissors, and I'm fighting a scroll. Broken77, thank you so much for that follow. Thank you. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. Thank you so much. It has been a while. Sorry to hear you're not well. Well, it's kind of like I'm always not well a little bit. I have a chronic illness. My lungs have been heavily damaged because I got sick at one point. And it's never really been the same. So when I started streaming a little bit over a year ago, my goal was actually to gain a little bit more stamina and get out here and be able to forge again. And so I have made so much progress, and I thought you were just chronically cool. Well, you know, I try. But yeah, I've made so much progress, and I am so grateful for everything that, you know, this stream has brought me. You know, community, health improvements, you know, blacksmithing skill. I'm doing really good. It's just every once in a while, there's these days, I get bad days, and unfortunately today is one. All right, so we're gonna raise the camera. Yes, we're gonna raise the camera, I think. And we're gonna move it. Because I got a little bit of stuff I need to do with on the face of or like with the blade. There's a little bit of a curve that I need to straighten out. We're going to end up putting a curve in this blade eventually, but we're not ready to do that yet. So I need it to be as flat as I possibly can right now, because right now, instead of, there we go. We are in focus again. Because I still need to I need to surface profile the inner blades. Otherwise, they won't fit together and they'll be all like gnarly and they won't cut right. I just noticed that beside your forge, there seems to be a forge for mice. Yes, I call that the mailbox. It is a forge made out of a single brick, like fire brick, and it is specifically designed for knife work. For, you know, forging knives out of like bar stock. and it's gorgeous. It's so efficient. I love the thing. But right now, our scissors are a little bit too big to fit in there. So we're using the big forge today. All right. Alrighty, so there's a little bit of a curve. We're just going to take that right out of there. So now we look down the blade. See, we want to get as flat of a plane as we possibly can so that when we grind and surface profile that inner blade, we don't end up taking off too much material. The inner section, this flat, like straight, that's going to be the interior blade of these scissors, right? So when we put them together, the other one will go this direction. And so I want to make sure that we have plenty of meat to create that nice blade. All right, so it looks pretty straight to me. So we're going to put that over there. And now we're going to work on this stupid scroll. I've been fighting this scroll for quite some time now. And it's not wanting to work for me. All right. You know why that is? Oh, wait, it's because I am making it upside down. Okay, it works. All right, it's working. All right, so that's a little bit better. We're going to heat this up, and we're going to do a couple more turns on there. All righty. I think it's all right. We're gonna end up we've got a flat surface on the blade, but our handle is a little bit bent over. So we will unbend that when we are closer to fitting it together, I think. So, when I got ill about 5-6 years ago, I learned that if you keep liquid right next to you, you can prevent yourself from coughing if you drink instead of cough. At least that works for me. So I am attempting to prevent myself from coughing. I've never tried scissors or snips. The geometry seems quite fiddly. Yes, this is definitely 100% a stretch project for me. I don't know if I can if I can manage to make them functional. But you know what? That's never stopped me before. So I figured I would trudge ahead and I would make a whole bunch of mistakes. And you guys could laugh and learn from my mistakes, and maybe you guys can do better. Because you know what, if I can make a set of scissors, you all can too, because I'm not that good of a blacksmith. I try my best, but Alrighty, where are we at? Okay, we're gonna do another heat. All right, So I'm pretty happy for the moment with the scroll on this, but what I need to do is kind of push it back just a hair. So if we look together at both of these guys, we can see that this side, this one, it bends faster than this side does. So we're going to see if we can't fix that. I want them to look as similar as possible. So this section here bends a lot earlier than the other side. So we will be doing one more heat for the moment. Focusing in on directing where we want that scroll to go. Trade this hammer for another pair of tongs because for our next heat, I kind of want to show you guys what the two look like together if I kind of fit them a little bit. And like I said, I did a 45-degree set down on the interior where I need the rivet to sit. But I think I need to make a much steeper angle. I think 45 is not enough. I think I need to go maybe 60 degrees as opposed to 45. Because I was taking a look at my example scissors, and they are much more acute. You know, the distance between the outside edge and the angle there. I think that's a 60-degree angle. Or a 30-degree, however you want to say that. All right. Oh, I did successfully pour an aluminum copper bronze square bar the other day. Came out sweet. Awesome. That is amazing. You'll have to show me pictures. Can you post pictures in the Discord? I want to see. Was it really fiddly? It's always been really fiddly doing that for me. Oh, you know what? I put my hammer away and I kind of need it. Okay. So now, I think I might actually need one more heat for this because I wanna flatten this side out a little bit further. And then what I want to do is I want to deliberately curve that. So we will be doing one more heat. One more heat, one more heat. Let's not touch the handle of the hot blade with the handle of our scroll tongs. That is not going to help us. Yeah, every time I work with copper, I get it to ball up, right? But then it never wants to combine with the other alloys or alloyed materials that I'm trying to use. And it's probably because I'm impatient, you know, but every time, whatever I'm trying to work with, I always end up with beads of copper everywhere. Got to be real careful though, because copper has a higher melting point than aluminum, and if you have to be a little bit careful that you don't flash boil your aluminum. Alrighty. I think we have enough heat now. Okay. Let's do this. Let's do this. you know what? Before I get that out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over this direction so that I can kind of, you know, I want to see it like that, and then I'm going to compare the two, and that's going to inform my decisions on where I want to bend it. Okay, I want to bend it about here. You know what? It's not wanting to. All right, fine. We will get one more heat in again. I said one more heat, and you know what? I did not mean it. It was a lie. It's always a lie. The heat is a lie. Starting to cool off, but not quite yet. I'm letting it cool off a little too fast. All right. But yeah, I used to do a lot of casting. Posted. Awesome. Thank you so much. I want to see. I used to do a lot of casting when I was in college. That's actually what I wanted to major in, was like casting metal for sculpture, but I also wanted to do small scale stuff for like jewelry and metal smithing. So I took every casting class that my college offered, and I kind of made my own little curriculum, and it was so much fun. It was my favorite. And then I realized that it was very expensive and it takes lots of people. So I can still do the small scale stuff, and I've been trying to convince the butler that we need to get a 3D printer so that I can cast little minis in like aluminum and bronze and stuff. Casting does look amazing fun. It does. So I really want to make little D&D figurines and metal D&D dice, like the RPG dice. So once I can convince the butler, we will do a few. It won't take much, but you know, we do have to save some pennies at some point. All right, let's do another heat. I think I'm going to put that one there for the moment. Grab this guy. Can I get it to function? All right, cool. It does look like I've done it a little bit better. I think I've just done the same exact thing. I think it'll be all right, though. All right. So I'm going to grab another set of tongs. So we're going to do this one. And then we're going to do this side. So if I hold that like so, and I hold this like so, this is what our scissors currently look like. So, I don't know. I think maybe we might work on the handles a little more, maybe? I don't know. But that's all she wrote for me today. I will say that now, because if I don't, I'm going to end up spending a long time still in here. And I need to breathe and rest. All right, guys. Like I said, I think that's all she wrote for me today. Apologies for ending the stream a little bit early and kind of being a little slow at these scrolls. But I will be back here at the same time on Friday, and we will do some grinding. So thank you all for joining me. I hope you've had fun. I know I have. I'm glad I was not forced to, end or cancel stream today. So thank you guys so much for all your support. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see who is available. Let's go with Valencia. Oh, wait. Curie is still on, so we'll raid off to Curie. We don't get to raid Curie very often. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, guys.